Board of Mayor and Alderman work session for September 8, 2022 to order. I'll ask Alderman Small to say an opening prayer, and then we'll get into our agenda.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we ask that you come and be with us today as we enter into this meeting to do good for the city of Fayetteville. We ask, Lord, that you be with all the workers today as they go about their business and help them to continue their day as planned. Lord, we ask that you bless this food for the nourishment of those who receive it. And in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. First, we have a review of the 8/4/2022 work session minutes. Does anybody have any changes, additions, deletions? Not, we'll enter those into record. We'll go to our department reports. We'll start with Public Works. Mr. Eddie Plunkett. And Mr. Plunkett, before you start, so the first item I had on here was last month's meeting. We appropriated or voted to go forward with a contract on William D. Jones. And then there was an additional $152,624.81. And in the motion, we did not detail where we're going to pull that from, even though I believe we all concur that we'd pull it from the general fund. So on Tuesday, we just need to do another add additional to what we've passed, just to specify where we're going to pull that money from. Is everybody good with that? Okay. Post office mail receptacles, Franklin Avenue.
It come out of our committee for the concrete, where the mail receptacles were on North Franklin, pour the concrete back, and advise post office if we had done that, and if they want to install the mailboxes, that'll be their choice. Don't need no action on it. It's just basically for information.
Okay. Have they ever asked to move those anywhere else? Have they ever asked to move those boxes anywhere else?
I have asked them to, but they don't have a place that they could do it because you have to have a dedicated drive-through just for those.
Right.
Because they're on the left side.
Okay.
But
Okay.
that was the committee's action on that.
Next, review of the garbage policy and cart replacement policy. I believe, Alderman Small, did you ask for this to come forward?
I wanted to bring it to the board to discuss. There's been several complaints about garbage being left, and then by the time they get back to the next week, there's 2 weeks worth to pick up, so it's being left again, and they're quite uneasy. And so I wanted to know what the board thought. Had it gotten any complaints of such for people, cans being left out? And I'll try to modify it somehow because they're paying for a service that they're not getting.
I've had a couple that have had a lid open that didn't get picked up that were concerned about that. I know on the side, I mean, I know that's not picked up anymore, and everybody should know that by now, but I've had a couple say that they've had stuff coming out the top that was not picked up, and I think that's tough. I think that's something we need to talk about. If it's 8 things stacked on top of one, I think it's out of compliance. But if it's to where it's pretty close to being able to shove something big in there, I think that really ought to be something that we pick up, in my opinion.
Well, that was the purpose, to see if we could modify this, because if it's 45 degrees open, in my opinion, it's not too far open. But if it's piled way up and hanging on the ground, I do understand that. But it's just making the problem worse if you have to go back and pick up 2 weeks worth.
Because they definitely can't get it in the can then. If
Right, a lot of people aren't able to afford the second can, even at a discount.
I've gotten 7 or 8 complaints over the last few weeks too. Same thing.
About the lid being so far
But it's mainly about the lid, not about whether they had garbage or a bunch of other stuff outside the can laying on the ground. Mainly about the lid.
That's mine too.
Same here.
And sometimes the wind does capture that, does pick up them lids, and it looks like it's flowing. And I don't think it's a fault by anybody. It's just Mother Nature at its best sometimes. But I mean, I think we do need to look
Well,
at
I think the guys are doing a good job, but to discern how open is subjective. And if it's left and then you got another bag, and a lot of people can't recycle, don't recycle, and that makes the can fuller. So if we could modify this to say that, of course, if it's 3 piled high and the lid is completely all the way off, that's a whole different story.
Right.
But to leave one that's agape,
Mr. Crockett, can you tell us why, I mean, on having the lid closed? I mean, we have a policy and the lid is supposed to be closed. To adjust a policy, I just don't know how you would decide what's 10 degrees open or 45 degrees open.
That's
Is there a
true.
reason for the lid being open completely?
Yes, ma'am. If the lid's open and it rains, water gets in there. We have to pay to dump that water. We get complaints when it's raining, the sludge running out of the truck. That's where the majority of that sludge comes from. Is when the lid's open, water gets in there, we dump it in the truck. The truck can only hold so much water. Lid's being open, trash blows out. Then we get blamed for that. Animals get in it when the lids are open. Those are just some of the reasons you all put the policy in place to keep the lids closed, to save us money, save less trash around town on the ground.
Well, the cases, the ones that complain to me, it's not that. It's the lid is on top of wherever the garbage is. And some people, I mean, the lid was like that much cracked and it wasn't picked up. It wasn't like way up here. So, I mean, I'm in agreement with the other alderman that we need to, there's got to be some type of discernment.
middle of the road, I would hope.
Exactly.
I mean, I work for y'all, I'll do whatever you want, but I can show you pictures where I went behind the truck, took pictures of them, and then they call in and you go out there and look, you know, pictures as it's piled up, standing just about wide open. Then they call and you go back to pick it up, and it's like, yes, they've done something with that trash.
Well, I can understand that as well, but I'd like to hear the other board members' opinion, take it back to our committee and modify the policy and talk some more about having it being said that it's an open can.
Are we charged based on the garbage rates? Are they charged based on, or do you figure it based on the size of this garbage can?
Yes, ma'am.
And
The carts,
by that,
when we set this policy, the prices years ago, we took the size of the can and how many yards it would hold, and divided that, like, if it may be, I can't remember the number, it was 4 or 5 carts. Full would be equivalent to like a yard of concrete, a yard of trash. So we took that yard and what we had to pay to dump that yard and divided that, and that's where we set the rate back in that day, if that makes sense.
so to overpacking the garbage can, you know, I think our garbage men do a great job, and they're just going by the policy. There is, the city dump is available, it's free of charge. If people have extra, I know if there's more people living in the house, you can recycle, you can take your bigger things to the dump, but I'm not for leaving this garbage lid open. We did the policy for a reason, and I think we need to follow that policy.
Well, a lot of people can't get to the dump.
I don't think anybody said leaving it
And a
open. I
lot of
think we're
people can't
discussing this
recycle.
thing.
They can't get to the recycling center.
I don't
That's the
want to.
dilemma, is getting to the dump.
Well, I don't say we leave it open at all. I'm saying if it's open like this right here and they tried to close it in, they tried, I don't think it ought to be left there, because there's a couple in our neighborhood that was just left there for a couple of weeks. They've had to bag it out and redo it again, and it caused the same thing over and over.
Well, basically what's happening is if you get a complaint, you do go get that can, am I right?
No, ma'am.
You leave it out there for...
They left it out there for the...
Well, I know there was one left for 6 weeks.
What's your policy on boxes on the side of the road? I thought we picked up boxes.
We do.
I'm speaking for myself. The reason my box has been out there for 2 weeks, nobody's picked it up.
When was it put out?
Monday, when it's supposed to be in for the garbage pickup, and it's still there.
Well, if it was put out Monday, it was late.
Monday
Should have been
morning,
put
no,
out
it's
Sunday night.
I mean, no, you were closed Monday. For Monday night, you picked up for Tuesday morning.
Correct.
Correct. It was left out Monday morning like it's supposed to do.
Well, I don't know about that situation, but I will tell you this. Monday morning, I had 4 men to run with.
I knew we were shorthanded.
We had four on the garbage truck, and I had 4 to pick up the routes. And they just got caught up about quitting time yesterday.
So the
that's
garbage
no
cans are
excuse, but
Right. So the garbage cans are left out there for 2 weeks. Y'all do not come back and get them. They have to just figure it out.
they can either pack it down, do something when the lid's closed. Well, I'm not saying closed completely shut. If they're cracked, I try to tell them, look, if they're cracked 4, 5 inches, 6 inches, pick them up. But it's still.
Yeah, that's not always the case. Understand that.
And there's, I don't think there's any fault. We put that in place thinking that
Right.
was going to be good, but I mean, it's no fault y'all doing what you're told to do. We said with that policy lid shut, but I just think that, just like Alderman Small said, maybe we need to look at modifying that because folks are paying money to have their trash picked up, and if they've got something tall in the can that's sticking that lid up, I think we need to do something to get the garbage picked up and not have that sitting there.
Well, there's a lot of people, things change after COVID. I think a lot of people are working remote from home and they were staying home more, and so they're collecting more garbage. It's not, so things have changed, so I think we should change as well.
But you give people an inch and they'll take them out. So if you're gonna leave them open, you just well leave them wide open, because they'll, well, mine was, if you say 45, mine was 47 degrees. Where do you draw the line?
Sounds like the board's in agreement, take it back to committee. Go ahead and do that.
And try to do something with this policy.
Okay. Next thing is a bridge replacement and paving, Shelbyville Highway.
It was brought up in our committee to go ahead and pave Shelbyville Highway from Mulberry Avenue to the bypass. During discussion of that, it was brought up about the bridge there behind the Monument Company, between it and the daycare. We went and looked at it, and it's an old rock bridge built probably back in railroad times. Stacked rock, about like all our drainage ditches were down through Norris Street. And I talked with Kerbers, which has our concrete bid, steel bid, and they can possibly start it next week if approved Tuesday night.
Do you know about how long that would take?
I asked Tommy about that. He said hopefully 2 to 3 months, but he said with the winter coming on and rainy season coming on, it could be longer. But he's willing to get started on it, try to beat the weather as soon as he can.
We had looked at that, and to pave it and not fix the bridge would kind of be counterproductive. So that's why the committee decided to take care of the bridge as well, because it is stacked rock like on South Main over on Lincoln Street, and we get in a lot of trouble if we pave that and have to go back and refix it. And that's why the committee decided that. They've been driving over that rough area for quite a while, and that traffic is pretty heavy out there.
Yes, ma'am.
And the estimated cost on that?
Going off of our Adams Street project, I'm estimating, because you're going to have to go deeper in the ground, because it's deeper ditch than what was on Adams Street. I'm saying around 150 to do that, with the price of materials still going up and steel still going up. I'm going to say it'll be around 150.
That paving project would have to be bid out, correct?
So the 150 does not include paving?
No,
This is
ma'am.
strictly the bridge?
Yes, ma'am.
And the money for the paving would come from the bond issue. But there have been complaints from that addition out there about how rough the road is. And the committee is looking over the paving again. Since we've completed these 2 major projects here on Norris and up on Franklin, we can start back prioritizing that and making a plan to take care of some of it in conjunction with FPU doing their work. And this is one area that can be fixed soon enough.
Would that bridge be completely closed for 2 to 3 months, or is it large enough to where they could do one lane? How would that work?
It'd have to be closed.
Okay, that's what I thought, it's small.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming all of that money would come out of the bond fund, the paving and the bridge work.
Well, need to ask Kevin about that. I know it was already in the bond to do the paving, which I suspect has gone up some from the estimate. The bridge, we need a recommendation from finance and Kevin on whether they want to pull the funding out. It is part of the bond issue. Chevrolet Highway is part of the bond issue, but I would like a recommendation from the finance director and the city administrator on where they want to.
Yes, sir. And just to let you know, the finance director and I, we were going over the bond listing on yesterday. So we're going to do a little bit more probably before the end of the week. So we'll be better prepared to give a recommendation by tomorrow.
By when? I'm sorry.
By tomorrow.
We'll have it before the board meeting either way.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Board good with taking this forward? Okay. Anything else on Public Works?
That'll be all, Mayor.
I do have a question. The street renaming, did we get those signatures fixed that the,
No, ma'am.
okay,
We're working on it. We'll bring it back next month.
okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Plunkett? Thank you, Mr. Plunkett. We'll go to Police Department. Mr. Casillas.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have 6 events that y'all need to look through and see if you can get their approval. It's going to be Lincoln County High School Homecoming Parade, the Walk of Freedom, the Senior Fishing Rodeo, Relay for Life, Bella Snowball, Fayetteville Christmas Parade. It's all about going to be the same as usual,
All stand.
except for the run. They changed it to a mile instead of the 1K.
Okay. Everybody good with these permits going forward? Everything else going okay? in police
Everything's
department?
going great. We're just anticipating to see who's going to be the new chief and get started with that and move forward.
Are we full? Is it?
We have 1 that we left. We have 3 in academy, and then we have 1 in transition school. So we're working forward to that, and hopefully in the next couple of months we'll have them 3 back.
I wanted to add something to that because we talked about this in committee. The Walk for Freedom is a new event. And I said, you know, going into planning this next year and stuff, I think we need to discuss how many events we're adding every year. We've added several.
We added
over the
several since after COVID came. We've probably gained in about 6 new events, I guess.
We just need to see kind of an overview of how many events we're actually doing now every year and see how that plays into the budget and how many men they have, because I know that really eats up overtime
No, it does.
with the events.
And the vice mayor brought that up before, the number of events, or it's at least 50, if not more, during the
Yeah.
year.
We've got a list of the events current up to what I asked for a list. I got a list,
Yes, sir.
just a few months ago.
Yes, sir. But there was a few more added this year, so they're not on the list.
Well, I'll tell you, we wear this police department out.
Yeah.
They're over there working 10, 12 hours, 10 and 12 days in a row, 12 hours a day. They get 2 days off,
Plus training.
plus training.
involved, and they still have to work
and you're
events.
burning them up, and we're going to lose them. This is out of control. This is out of control. I've been trying to bring this up for 2 or 3 years now. We're putting way too much, and we're going to burn them up, and they're going to get tired of it, and they're going to leave. What's fixing to happen?
Yeah.
When you, I don't care if they're young, whatever, but when you got officers out here and they're working maybe, 10 days in a row, sometimes 12 hours a day, you give them 2 days off, and they're looking at 7, 8 days in a
They're
row.
not having any weekend time.
Yeah,
They're not getting any weekend time.
no.
They're not getting vacation time either.
No. Yeah, we had to come before the board on our vacation because they were losing their birthday time and their no work loss time, so we had to come before the board to see if we can, get them to keep that
I
time.
thought we resolved that.
You did resolve it, you put it off for a year instead of 6 months during this, this time.
But the year's gonna catch up with them
It
too.
does, it does.
The year's gonna catch up with them too.
But hopefully when we get her fully staffed, it doesn't take away from all the events that we're having. We're still gonna have to use all the officers on quite a bit of these events.
You're never gonna be fully staffed.
No.
You're never going to be fully staffed because what's going to happen is the same thing's been happening all along. You're going to get them in, they're going to leave, they're going to go somewhere else. Someone's going to get trained, and they're going to go somewhere and make a lot better money. That's what they're doing. So we're going to continually have this rotation. We're going to continually have all this going on. And I've been trying to bring this to the board's attention for several years now, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And we're going to wake up one morning and we're not going to have anybody over at that police department if it's just not addressed. We're burning these people completely out. We're burning them completely out at a young age.
That's why I wanted to bring this up. I know it's just one event. You hate to say no to any event, but it seems like every couple of months we're adding another event.
I don't
It's just
think
more
we should
hours.
say no to any event right now. I think that we should go back and take a good hard look at the whole thing and decide what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. Instead of just singling one out, go back and take a hard look at the whole thing, what we're doing, and decide what we want to do, what we can let happen and not let happen. There's a limit to just about anything. And we're way, way over that limit a long time ago. A long time ago.
On a lot of these events, though, is it necessary for police, or is it only if the streets are closed?
Streets are closed and the requests. And in the new events, we don't know what it's going to be like, so we have to put our officers out there just to see how the event turns out. Then we can modify it for next year, so we never know on each of these new events.
Because I think some of these, like these walks or these runs, sometimes you could divert it maybe to like a school campus or something like that.
We've tried that. We tried talking with them, but they don't want to move from their plan. Some of them do modify it a little bit, but
Yeah, we talked about
try to get
that.
them to get volunteers to come in.
Yeah.
It never works out.
We talked about that 3 or 4 months ago. Maybe the track up at the junior high, maybe they use that.
We tried the fairgrounds.
They don't want to use anything. They want to use out in the public streets and all.
And some of
So
these
they're
could
not
probably
willing.
modify. Some of these could probably modify to go during the Christmas parade.
Christmas parade's pretty well tied up. That's in the dark anyway. You couldn't let them do it in the dark, but now.
Because we're having to utilize Eddie's crew, rec center. We have to use a lot of people on a lot of these events. We use them for the runs now. We have so many now.
Well, it's already biting us pretty bad. It's going to continue to bite us. We're going to lose some really good employees because they're going to be burnt out. They can go somewhere else and make a whole lot more money somewhere else than what we're paying them and not have to put up with this.
I don't want to forget either, we were using the fire department as well. We use their whole crew.
We need to take a good hard look at what we can do. And to me, I want to support all of these things that we can because it's good for the community. But I don't want to burn our employees out. And that's what we're doing. We're allowing them to just completely be burned out, and we're not doing anything about it.
I thought that was the purpose of the application was for the police to look at it and maybe come up with a solution. Yes, you can have a run, but these are the limitations. This is where you can choose 1, 2, 3. And I know it's hard because they come back, no, we've always done it like this, or,
We try to make these modifications, but it's going to be up to the finalization of the board, up to determine what is going to be and what's not going to be. We are just there if we can make it happen safely, and that's why we get these groups here to assist us. It's going to be y'all's determination on if y'all are going to want it to pass or not. As far as them modifying, some do, some help us out. But a lot of them want to, to show what they're about, and they want to be in the public eye, and that's what their group is about. That's with anything.
And they
If
aren't
you're- if you're trying to-
thinking about the side of what it's putting on y'all. I mean, nobody's thinking that. They're thinking, hey, we want to do something, but if it's that bad, I think we need a list of everything and everybody really start looking at it because
We've
it's,
given the board a list several times, I think, as long as I've been coming up here with, Chief Hal, and during my time, we've given probably 4 or 5 lists, and nothing's ever been modified.
We've got a list that came out, 6 months ago?
It's been a little bit of time ago, but
I've got it, I don't know about anybody else got it, not asked for it.
Well, several years ago, I mean, when we were going back through the code and Vice Mayor and the former Alderman and I were on there, we sat there and, it was like, well, you're going to do so many a month, or we just going to do the 3 month? Well, then you had some that had 5 or 6 events a month, so which 3 were you going to tell no? And then, Johnny, I mean, once you tell 1 or 2 no, I mean, can you legally tell the other ones no too?
What are you gonna tell the employees is tired of it? And I don't know what the answer is to it, but there's gotta be an answer somewhere, on the limitations. We can't just, to me, we just can't keep adding. I'm telling you, we're gonna end up losing some really good employees because we're burning them out on overtime. When you put an employee out there for 10 solid days or whatever it is, I don't know, 12 hours a day, they got 12-hour shifts on police. And then you give them 2 days off and you tell them, we're coming back, you're gonna work another 7 days in a row or 8, whatever. And you go on and on and on. That is not fair to the employees. It is not fair. And I would think that this board would be able to come up with some kind of solution. And if it hurts a few people's feelings, I would hate to see that. But I think we've got a responsibility to take care of our employees. That's what I've been thinking that for years now, and this thing's building up and nobody's listening.
Yeah, and this can change because we approve these yearly. So we could look at this at planning or something and say, okay, well, we only allow so many runs, and then after that, they have to do it at the high school or
Well, maybe they can rotate. Maybe
something different.
Maybe one group could do it 1 year and then stay off a year, and then maybe we could have a certain number of slots and fill those slots.
Yeah.
And just say whoever gets in those slots is in those slots. Whoever don't. I don't know what the answer is, but I just know that we need to come up with an answer. I know that for sure. I've been knowing that for quite a while, and things is not getting better, they're getting worse.
Like this new event that's added, how many officers will it take to run that?
I have to get with our guy that sets it up. I don't know how many they have coming in, but I know command staff all come into just about every event.
And where is it located? Like what roads? Do you know that?
Let's see here.
On the iPad.
Excuse me.
As I was telling
Is it
Alderman,
on
it's
iPad?
Yeah.
Let's see here. This one's going off of Main, going around to Elk. It's going to be going around the main intersections. It's going to be Maple, Main, Elk. This one's not too bad. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 intersections we got to block.
So how many people do you have to a shift?
We have only 3 right now.
How many people are you supposed to have to a shift?
4.
But you've only got 3.
Yes, sir. That's been that way for years.
And
We actually need 5 per shift, but but we use command staff. We try to pull from everywhere. Then we also utilize these gentlemen.
But as far as the shift goes, you only got 3 to a
Three-
shift.
3 to a
You're supposed to
shift.
have 4.
And I have
But
some
you
that
got-
have to do online training, so you got 2 to the street.
And there was a reason to have 4,
Yes, sir.
but you don't have a 3.
Yes, sir.
And see, that just compounds the problem. And as far as what, it might get better when we get full staff back, you're never going to get full staff back. You know you're not going to. Because what's going to happen is they're going to continue to rotate off, go to other jobs, they're going to get trained, they're going to go somewhere else to make more money or do something else. You'll continually have them coming in for training. And how long does that training last anyway, up there, wherever you send them to?
3 months.
12 weeks? And
About 3 months.
so they're going to be gone 3 months.
Then they have to come back and do FTO training, so they'll
Right.
still be not on the street.
Right. And then, after, here 2 years, whatever, they go somewhere else and do whatever. So we have people, I guess, in training pretty well all the time, don't we?
Yes, sir.
So we're never full staff. If you got people in training all the time, you're never full staff. You're continually training, you got this thing going on, and we're not gonna stop. That's not gonna stop, no matter what we do, probably.
Then after you get them trained, they come back, then you have other departments trying to attack them, offer them extra monies. So we're constantly fluctuating in and out with officers.
Well, I think that we need to put together another comprehensive list. It won't be hard because we got one not very long ago that came out. Comprehensive list. And I think that this board needs to decide what we need to do. That's what I believe, because anything that we can help to keep from losing those employees, we need to do, because it's expensive.
It is.
Training these employees and all. And you get them in here and train them, and then 2 years they're gone, or less sometimes.
And if we sit and work on a plan, I think we can come up with some alternatives for some of these, like these walks. I say we start utilizing the Greenway. I mean, the Greenway would be a great place for a walk. You're going from the courthouse.
The problem is, we've
Stonebridge.
tried that, but the problem is, we've said, well, maybe use a brand new track up to high school, city
Yeah.
high school. Of course, I don't think anybody ever talked to the city, I don't know if it did. But I've heard it on the board, if they're out here running, they don't want to run on a track, they want to run out there on the street, and I kind of understand that. So that's not, I don't know but we could try, I guess, but we need to come up, by the end of the year, we need to start looking, by the end of the year, to me, we need to start looking seriously, because we got another budget year coming up quick, and we need to start looking seriously at what we're going to do about this situation and problem. Don't think we'll solve it in the next 2 or 3 months, but I believe by the next budget cycle, we need to have some kind of plan in place on what we're going to do, which that's 3 or 4 months off, but.
I would like to see the committee take a good hard look at it and come up with some of the things like you're talking about here and bring it back to the board for us to discuss, because I know several years ago, the roadblocks were cut down because we were having too many roadblocks. And so that was modified because
I think we
of
cut
the
them
sheer
down to
number.
4 a year, 4.
Right.
That's about right.
And I'd like to see it go to the committee and.
We cut 'em
and
way down.
You guys
It was-
look at it hard.
Yeah, I'd love-
They got out of control where people was out
It
there
did.
going to get run over.
That's right.
Yeah, it's
And
dangerous.
We had to deal with that, and it might be, once we work something out, the board works something out, I don't think it should be on the police department, I think it should be on us, whoever's here, should be on us to come up with some kind of solution to help the public the very best we can, and also protect our employees there's a balance there somewhere. We just got to find it. And I would hope by the next budget cycle that we'd have all that worked out. And maybe the city administrator can do some checking on that and checking around other towns and all, kind of see what's going on with them. Might help a little bit.
Yeah, and thank you, Vice Mayor Bryant. I do want to share an idea with the committee that was presented actually in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I do plan to get with Roger and Tanya and share the idea that was shared with me and Jess as well,
Okay.
and see whether this can help us with the resolve.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And also the new police chief will be in place and get that information and kind of everybody work together.
Yeah. I think we put our heads together. I think we could come up with a solution. What I think what our problem is that we don't want to say no. We hate to say no to anybody, but maybe a solution can be worked out to where there can be some rotation done, to where different groups can get to do different things at different times. Hopefully the committee and city administrator can, like Alderman Small says, come back with some kind of good ideas in the next few months. I don't mean just right now, but I mean before the next budget cycle, I would hope.
Yeah, this has all been done in good intentions. I mean, we all want to say yes to everything, and we do. But when we say yes, we don't really realize what all goes on behind the scenes. And it's affecting, like he said, not just your department, fire department, rec
Right.
department.
Yeah.
Main Street certainly appreciates the police and the fire, because this past Friday, due to staffing. We did not have the police, and we were unable to shut the square down, so we couldn't control cars coming in and going out. We had a little skirmish going on there, and thankfully the police came and took care of that. And, you know, we appreciate y'all and the firemen and Eddie's department. They put out the barrels and everything, so it takes everybody, so everybody needs to take that into consideration.
Any other questions of Mr. Castillo? Mr. Owens, will you give the board an update on the police chief search? Since we're
Yes,
talking about the police department.
Just to let the board know, we did complete the assessment, and I did get a report from the assessment on last Friday. As of Tuesday and Wednesday, we started really in references. So we are expecting to complete this in the matter of a couple of days. I'm looking forward to a few references to come back, hopefully today. So we are in the process of looking at the references, fully investigating that.
So you're close to making an offer?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go to the fire department. Chief Kimbrough.
Morning. The only thing I have is I've got 2 new employees that will be taking their oath. It'll be Chad Baker and Dustin Smith. Truck update, engine 1's the only one we have down right now, and we're still waiting on parts. I did get an update on the parts, and they said they will be releasing them, they hope, toward the end of this month. So I hope we'll get that pretty soon. Also, we completed our Swiftwater training a couple weekends ago. Everything went good. Proud we could do that. Maybe we'll go on to the next step of that and get our Swiftwater 2. But other than that, that's my report.
How's our trucks? Is our trucks in pretty good shape? We're not looking at one for a while.
Yeah, the trucks are fair shape. The ladder we just had to replace a steering gear in it. We've replaced it, and then we've got a computer plug we're having issues with, but we've got it working right now.
Yeah.
And then engine 1's the only one that's not operable right now because of the depth head. We've got one ordered, had one ordered for about 9 months now, and we got one in and it didn't work, and so they something that had been in production, they messed them up, and so they had to find a different supplier for them and all that big roundup. So.
But we got a backup truck, right?
Yes, sir. We got engine 2, engine 4 still running good, engine 3 also, and then
Plenty of backup.
yeah, right now we do.
Any questions for Mr. Kimbrough? All right, thank you. We go Parks and Rec, Mr. Brian Carter.
Good morning.
Morning.
Kids Park has been mulched. We accomplished that a couple of weeks ago. Stonebridge Park lighting update. We're looking to replace our lighting heads with LED lighting, and we've gotten one quote. We're looking to get another quote on that to see if we can't get that completed. Soccer net, we have put that off until next month. We're still having a lot of mowing that we're doing. We're getting caught up on that, and then the mulching kind of put us behind. So once we get all of that completed and find ourselves some time, we'll start on that. Damaged S.J. King bathroom, we have gotten some quotes in and gotten a work scope on it, so hopefully within the next month we'll have that done. Fall Soccer League has started. 35 kids, probably down from I think 5 kids. It was 40 in the spring, but it's running good and it's playing. We're playing on Saturdays with that. Senior Fishing Rodeo will be on Saturday, October the 22nd, 2022. Our Halloween Trunk and Treat, we're proposing that it will be on October the 27th. Christmas Parade will be we're proposing December the 3rd, 2022. Fireworks display, we're looking at July the 1st, and we will try to go in next month and make sure we get that date hammered in for that. And then the Lee parking lot situation, I'm going to let Mr. Owens handle that. He's been speaking with Mr. Ellis, and I'll let him give a report on it.
Yeah, good morning again. And what Brian is referring to, we have made contact with Mr. Michael Ellis concerning the parking lot with the league. He had quoted us to rent per month $2,250 per month to rent half of the parking space. Brian and I have decided that was way too much. We want to go back to him with another offer, and so we're sort of working with that this week. As a matter of fact, the offer, I think Brian had mentioned that at one point in time, it was even an idea to purchase the property. So we're going back to see whether we can do something a lot more reasonable, feasible than what was presented by Mr. Ellis.
How's the paving in that? It looks halfway decent, is it?
It is.
About halfway decent?
It is.
I don't believe the lighting's gonna really work though, probably.
I don't think so, but the only issue that I saw, there was a little bit of grass buildup, and since then, they've cut that. But other than that, the pavement looks pretty well.
So if we had access to that, we would just build an entrance off of that side road there.
Yes, off of West Drive.
Oh, West Side Drive. Well, like I said, I did the purchase a little bit if it was halfway reasonable because, you know, I don't know what they'd sell it for, but, you know, it's a thought. It's a big area too.
It is.
It helps a whole lot, so.
Yes, it is. If we could only have a portion of it, that would help us out a lot.
And you had your Blue Cross, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. We applied for a Blue Cross,
Yes, we did. We got that submitted. We did get that submitted.
so we don't know when that'll be on,
February.
in
That's
February.
when
We'll
we find
know
out
whether
some
we got it or not.
Yes.
If we get that grant, that's a 100% grant.
100%.
So what all is involved in that? Basketball? What all is involved in that?
Okay, on this one, what's going to be involved in it, it'll be a pavilion and be a playground area, weightlifting area, and swings.
Swings?
Yes.
Okay. Where would that be located?
That would be located at Kiwanis Park. And the reason why we went with Kiwanis Park, the naming at Lee just wasn't working out. And we had gotten with Mr. Hill on that and discussed it. And Kiwanis does need some updating.
So they've got to have a name, Blue Cross.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was never going to work it
Right.
unless they gave up that stipulation.
Exactly.
And that's be hard to do.
Right.
Plus, you mentioned that if there's any repairs on that equipment, then the Blue Cross, they come out and make those repairs.
Yes, they do.
And cover that
Yes.
as part of the grant.
Yes.
So at Kiwanis, are you talking about that area, that flat area down right behind that school? That-
Yes, right.
On the lower side.
Lower
line.
side over there,
Right.
yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a pretty good sized area.
It is. It really
It
truly
goes all
is.
the way over to them houses on Bagley, behind them houses.
Right, correct.
So that property is the city's property.
It is the city's
Not
property.
schools, the city's.
Right, the city's.
Well, it's not all of it's city property, but we know what I mean.
Yes,
It's not
exactly right.
Designated for the school.
Right. Right. It was some areas, once before, and I was on the board years ago, I think we had given the city school system some part of that property where those swings are, but the rest of it is ours.
Yeah, we went in, the city school system went in and cleaned that property up about 7 or 8 years ago.
Correct.
Yeah.
So when I was at the TML conference, there was a small city up in East Tennessee that had, it wasn't through the Blue Cross, but they had an outdoor workout area. It was kind of adjacent to their pool, and but that's a popular thing that's coming out now. It's kind of outdoor, if whether you want to do a yoga class or the outdoor working. And anyway, so that's not some novice concept. That's a popular thing that's happening right now.
What is the dollar amount on that grant? Is there a specific
There
amount?
is-
There is no.
No.
It's based on what you want to do.
Based on
you've got
what you wanna
plans
do.
for.
Correct.
Mr. Carter, have we checked with Kiwanis? Are they okay with the renaming of the park?
We have gotten in contact with them, and so far, we were doing some work along with them, so we should be good with that.
Okay, we might want to get that
Right.
maybe in writing or something in
Okay.
case they don't come back, because on this grant, it's a wonderful grant, and I have seen a lot of parks across Tennessee where they've done this, but we don't want to get down to the end and ready to go to work, and then they're like, wait, we don't, because the park, according to what I understand in this grant, it has to be named the Blue Cross Park, right?
No, actually, what it will be named is Blue Cross Blue Shield Park at Kiwanis Park.
Okay.
Yes.
They just want a sign.
They just want the sign. Yeah,
Okay.
it won't be the renaming of the park.
Okay, good.
Yes.
And the only thing held us up out yonder is it's in the deed that you can't put any names out there.
Right.
No, that's what held us up out there.
For 25 years, yeah. For like 25 years, it can't be named.
Yeah. I don't know how long it was, but I know. That sounds like a good plan.
Well, these are different places, and it's a benefit to the community. It adds to quality of life, and that's their intention, is they want to do this in different, and so,
And if we don't win, we'll try again next year.
yeah. Any other questions, Mr. Carter? Thank you. We'll go to planning and codes, Ms. Christy Gentry.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to give a complete overview for our 8th annual cruise-in. It's this Saturday, September the 10th. Pre-registration for the cars will remain open through tomorrow. You can register here at the municipal building. The fee is $30, and that does include t-shirt, dash plaque, and koozie, and a cruising bag. And then registration during the event will be open from 2 to 4. Black Rose Nation is our feature band. They are a classic rock band and are excited to come and play in Fayetteville. We talked to them yesterday, and they plan to bring some friends that follow them to their shows, and some of them are even going to bring their cars and register. We will have 6 food trucks with a variety of foods, all from savory to sweet items. Merchandise, including our t-shirts and koozies, are on sale here at the municipal building also through tomorrow. And then we will have a merchandise tent set up at the event. We will have a cruise-in message up on the marquee. Ms. Christie at the theater said that they should get that up today, and it will remain up through the weekend. And then we also have our banner highlighted over Main Avenue South. Our sponsors will be highlighted on our fans, and if they gave $250 or more, they will also have a sign over near the bandstand to be highlighted. We had a total of 14 sponsors, and then 3 businesses donated door prizes to be given away during the event. Adam Ratley from the fire department is actually going to be our MC that day, highlighting our sponsors, giving announcements, and then doing the door prizes. And then we are also putting information on our Cruise in Downtown Fayetteville, Tennessee Facebook page, and then I'm also sharing that to the city Facebook page. We're hoping for blue skies and sunshine, but it is a rain or shine event. So I hope that everyone will be coming out and participating and enjoying the day of family fun.
Rain is in the forecast, but hopefully before the show starts.
I hope so.
Any other questions, Ms. Gentry?
Yeah, I want to take this opportunity to tell her and that planning and that coast department that I'm glad of the way that you're operating. I've turned in several. Well, I wear you out, don't I? Kind of. I've turned in several places around town, and they responded to every one of them, and they keep me updated. They send me an email, let me know what they've done, where it's at, and I appreciate that.
I have an exceptional team. Miss Jill and Jack, they are a good team together. We work well with Mr. Hill. We have to use Jesse as the health officer a lot. Well, all departments really, but we really have a good team going, and I thank you for the call.
Well, it helps a lot when we get a call. Well, I get calls. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I get calls about, and I go to planning codes with it, and then they respond to me and let me know what's going on. Then if those people call me back, I can tell them I know what's going on. I can tell them it's in the process, and I think everything that I've turned in has been addressed, and you got it done. It's what they needed. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the feedback. It helps us. It puts us in a position where we can talk to the people and know what's going on, and they appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We definitely want to have an open line of communication.
With the last planning commission, you gave a report. There's a lot of activity going on in your department. A lot of it as a result of your team. And so as far as demolitions or problems that have been reported being addressed or things that have been long-standing, people don't understand how long the process is, and we have to follow a procedure, and everything can't just be done overnight. But it seems like we're seeing the success now of some things that have been put in place and followed up with constantly over the last 6 to 8 months, I think.
Yes, definitely seen an increase with demolitions, needed demolitions, of course. We've got, I think, even 2 more that's came in after my report that's on the iPads, but we are seeing a lot of results, and just trying to open up that line of communication. We have a lot of rental property, and we're in contact with their property maintenance people, and just trying to stay focused even on the commercial, some of the industries even, just trying to get some things cleaned up.
So I see where that old Heritage propane building is slowly coming down.
Yes, that'd be a big help, and then, of course, the old little produce stand, it's gone, so that's gonna open that area up, and make it cleaner through there too. Yes, sir.
Will they have to take that tower down behind that radio tower, whatever it is, the big tall antenna tower out there at Heritage? Will that have to come down by code, or do we have any codes on that?
I'll have to ask Jack about that. I know
Yeah.
he's trying to be in contact with the Kirkland brothers about that.
Yeah. That's a tall one, that's a tall.
Yes.
Of course, they might be going to use it or something, but it's looking better.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Ms. Gentry?
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to IT, Mr. Zach.
Good morning.
Morning.
Spectrum Cable TV services have been completed at all buildings. Following last month's work session, I met with the contractors for Spectrum and finished the cable runs remaining at Rec Department and Street Department. So for almost a full month now, we've had cable TV in all the buildings now. Other items, with the cruise-in event approaching, we had that issue with the ShopKeep point of sales with the iPads taking card payments. So I just went ahead and installed Square's point of sale system on the iPads so that they could take card payments. And since Square seems to be working, I just went ahead and canceled the subscription we had with ShopKeep to save us those charges. And in doing that, we'll lose access to ShopKeep's data on the 12th of this month. So I went ahead and exported all the data out of it going back to March of 2019 when they were first set up. So if there was ever any kind of information we needed regarding past transactions, I have that in an Excel spreadsheet that would, in case it was needed.
So this is for vendors that are using the Wi-Fi on the Square, is that right?
This is just for us.
Just for us? Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Just like for selling the T-shirts and stuff at the cruising event.
Okay.
And other than that, studying for my Security Plus. I just finished all my video material, and now I'm reviewing, and I start taking practice tests, and hopefully start taking the real tests next week.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Thank you, sir. We'll move to finance. All these 3 items came through Finance Committee the other day. First is extending the current employment agreement with the City Administrator to 12/31/22. Everyone except Alderman Martinez and Allen, I believe, were at the Finance meeting. I explained that Mr. Owens has hit 6 months and done, I feel like, an excellent job for us. And my recommendation and the committee's recommendation to move it to today was to honor where we increase his salary per the letter, but extend the agreement till the end of the year since we're only a couple months from the election. And instead of discussing a contract now ahead of a new board, when the new board sets in November, let those contracts discussions after 12/31. So his original letter is on your iPad, and so it's mainly increasing the salary from $97,292 to $103,220, and then there was a thing about him enrolled in the TCRS retirement system. I think that's fair. That doesn't cause any controversy over binding a new board to a contract that may not agree. Thoughts from the board?
I think that's a good idea. We got election coming up. I don't think we need to be talking about a contract until the new board gets in place. That's my
agree.
thoughts.
Everybody good? All right. We'll carry that to Tuesday. The next is Colin Wakefield, I'm sorry, that was the third. Number 2, additional request for Chamber of Commerce. Carolyn Denton, the Director of Commerce and Chamber, came the other day for the Music in the Park series. They had requested some additional money in the budget process. We reduced that amount, but they're still after their expenses for the concert series, which is a popular event in the park in the summertime. There's an additional request for $1,650. We recommended to bring that to the board to discuss. Everybody good with that? We'll take that to Tuesday. And then on Camp Blunt, they have their volunteer days coming up on September 30th, October 1st, and they asked for a funding request of $700 that would go for chairs and tent, and there was one.
Garbage cans and mosquito spray.
Garbage cans and mosquito spray.
And they were picking up half, right? Their side was picking up half. We were doing half. Wasn't that right?
On the 10.
On the
10. Okay.
We're doing all on the other.
Okay.
And we had a discussion on that. if you remember. Now, we did make a point to the Representative King that the city, we put a lot of funding in trying to get that project completed out there. The big part, a lot of our part of it, even though the lion's share of it's coming from the state, but then again, a lot of it's coming. But we did make a point that we need to be kind of careful about how much they come back and ask for the city, alone. Be kind of careful about that. Hopefully, they'll get a foundation set up and get some fundraising going on. So.
Well, that's what they told us when we agreed back in 2013 that they would have a 501(c) component for that purpose.
Right. So we're kind of pushing them in that direction. So, but we was okay with this $700 just to get through this event. I was anyway.
I was too.
Board good taking that. Okay. We have our new finance director. Jamie, if you want to come forward and introduce yourself to the community. We just want to introduce you to everybody that's here and those that will watch on the recording later. But this is Jane. This is our new finance director. She comes with experience in government, finance, and private sector too. And so you came in right at the end of the year, closeouts on the previous budget, and worked extra hours to make sure we got that done and completed. So our accounting firm that does our audit, and Mr. Owens and the board is very pleased and thankful for that.
Thank you. Yes, so I will be working with the auditors pretty soon and reaching out to them and starting the audit process and then starting the new year. So I'm working on closing out July and August. But if there's anything that any of you need or any way I can support you, just let us know. And Mr. Owens and I will be glad to get it for you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Glad to be here.
All right. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Under administration,
Mayor, before you leave, I do want to give the finance updates for the previous month.
Okay.
If I may, just to close out, just for the our report for this month, the local option sale checks for the month of July 2022, we had received $326,81. And in comparison for the year before, it was $275,322.99. So we did have a significant increase from July 2021 until July 2022. And in our occupancy tax, we had $19,866.85. In the previous month, which would have been June of '22, we had $18,688.18. So in both categories, we did see increases. So I did just want to report that, and I also want to say, before we leave the finance, that Ms. Owen came in even before her start date, worked from sun up to sundown to ensure that we were able to submit our state required for the closeout. So she came in her first 10, 12 days and was here 12, 13 hours, including last night, just to look at some bond stuff. So she's been working and fully work every penny we pay her and even more. But I also want to commend other people. We had other people on our team who also filled in the cap in between July into August. So I do want to give kudos to the entire team, which include Pam, Michelle, Monica, even Stacy came back. So we had a lot of work going on in finance for July and August, and just want the board to know that the team was working very hard on our behalf.
Thank you. That's good. All right, we'll go with administration. Mr. Owens, you have an extensive report on the iPad.
Yes,
of
sir.
Things going on.
Yes, sir. And once again, good morning, board, and good morning, citizens of Fayetteville. First of all, do thank you for consideration for my compensation. So I do appreciate that. But as far as the agenda, we do have one item I do want the board to look at, and that's with the animal control contract. We did put a proposed animal control contract that we want the board's consideration. Even throughout the last 2 months, and I know it started out very shaky, but we have had several meetings between the Humane Society, the county, and the city to look out ways that we can have a effective animal control operation. So we come up with this particular contract. Mayor Newman has looked at it, the Humane Society is looking at it, and I want the board members to look at it and propose any questions that you may have.
I don't have any questions, but I have a notation.
Okay.
It looks like to me that the county is proposing to come up,
That's correct.
pay the same amount we're paying.
That's correct.
That's a good thing.
Yes, sir.
That's a step.
They
in the right
did.
direction.
They have accepted in our meetings, and I guess we probably since the 1st of July, we probably have had 6 or 7 meetings. But that was one of the things they thought that they should be equal players in this agreement, whatever we decide to move forward with.
So what we do would be contingent on the county also doing the same thing.
Exactly. They also
all three got to be on the base.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this is a little bit different than in the past. The county also will sign off on this contract.
Right. Yeah, before, all of our contracts have been just between us and the
Correct.
society.
That's
Now it's a three-way.
That's correct.
I think that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
And we'll have representation
Correct.
from each board on there too to help out too.
And I notice that if this passes, we are agreeing to do some things that help with the fuel kind of, and some rabies vaccinations and computer help and something, garage.
That's correct.
So that's some good things, that's all. Maybe helpful, so.
Is the board good with taking this to Tuesday?
I'm good with carrying
Okay.
forward.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Owens, on administration?
Yes, let me do a couple of things, and Eddie reminded me of something very, very important that we discussed in Public Works, but we did not discuss in his particular report. But one of the things that we found out in the last 3 weeks is that we're losing our landfill space in Mercerville, and that's going to require everybody to come up with an alternative plan. They have an important meeting that I believe is on the 14th of the month that we'll be here in the auditorium. It's about the landfill. It's a regional problem, but it will impact us in Fayetteville. So we do have an important meeting here on September 14th. We invite all that who can come. I will be here, and I think Eddie will be here.
I think it's important. I think it's important for any of the board that can be here to be here. It's for years. It's been a regional agreement with ISWA's, the acronym for the group, and we do contracts. Each government entity does a contract. The most recent thing that they had been looking at in the last few months was trying to build a transfer station over in Franklin County, where the IDB outside of Winchester had some property right by the railroad, and take it by rail, which would be much cheaper. And Mr. Plunkett, that kind of, I mean, is that still a consideration? That kind of fell through? Okay, so that fell through. So, but anyway, but this, and this information just came up within the last week or so, right? So this isn't like something that's been out there for a while. So, but our understanding is this landfill is going to close at the end of the year. Is that for sure? December 31st. So what time is the meeting?
It's 6 p.m. on the 14th.
All right, that's next. Okay, that'll be here, right here in the auditorium. Welcome anybody that wants to come to that meeting.
Pam, could you send out something on that, a reminder?
Mr. Jones, you give an update on the electrical work that's going to be done at Don Davidson Park.
So as far as the Don Davidson, on yesterday, we did receive notice that the winning vendor has received their SAMS card, which has been a holdup. That's the Federal Register that everyone has to register, and we were waiting for them to receive. So as of today, we can't sign the contract and execute the contract. So we're expecting work to begin on that within the next week or two. So we're going to execute that contract before the end of the week. So that was very important. Also, just since we're talking about other projects, we do have the William D. Jones project. We did receive word from our particular, Will Owen, who's working on our behalf, but he did submit all of the information that it was required to the state. So we did get notice on that particular, and we also have received word since the last board meeting, notice to proceed for the Greenway 2 project. We received that from the state DOT. So we're working out some things that they wanted us to tweak. We had to update some things from the original 6 months ago. So they're working that out. So we're hoping to have that out to bid probably within the next 10 days. So all of those are working, moving forward. And on the final one, the sidewalk, they did present, and Corps Engineer did present before the board and Public Works, and they're now working on cost estimates, which I will get to the board for their review probably in the next 10 days as well.
Any other questions, Mr. Owens?
And my final announcement, if I can have this one, just to remind everyone that the city will be hosting the annual Day of Remembrance. We are scheduled to be out at the courthouse, but if rain occurs, we will be in this building about this time on tomorrow.
Tomorrow, 9/9. We moved it up from 9/11 because that's on Sunday. But that
10 o'clock?
It's at 10 o'clock.
10 a.m.
Yes.
And the rain, which we hopefully think we're going to circumvent, but if the rain does occur, then it'll be moved in here. So, anybody have any other business that you bring forward today? Okay, we'll adjourn this work session and meet back Tuesday. Everybody have a good day.